Cloud. Good afternoon again. My name is Rob Newman. I am the tax partner of Carter, Collins and Meyer, firm of accountants in Rochdale. This is predominantly for existing clients of Carter Collins, but a replay will be put on YouTube for anybody missing it. There's a fairly good response to this call today. I've got 38 people. However, I have only had one question, which I will cover. But what I thought I would do to start off with is a run through of all of the support that's currently available to businesses in lockdown 2. From there, hopefully this will cover most people's questions, and then we can get on to any specifics if anybody else still has anything. Forgive me now while I do this screen change to bring up slides. You're not going to see my gorgeous mug all the way through this. I think I might appear in the top right-hand corner, but we will get going. Aiming for about 25, 30 minutes and then cover anything else that anybody has. So here's the transition. Yeah, that's me. Used this before, which is why that's on there. You know about that stuff. Events of the last few weeks. When I was preparing this slide the other day, it dawned on me that I've actually been using this exact same slide now for 2 years. We seem to have gone from one crisis to the next in the UK, so there's no change there. I look forward to the day when I actually stop using this slide. It's going to be interesting if that ever actually arises, because I foresee loads of Brexit turmoil coming. That's my next lot of videos, no doubt, that we will be sharing with you. Moving on from there, the major news for people is the extension of the job retention scheme, the JRS. JRS is a continuation of the scheme brought in July, otherwise known as flexible furlough. It's been extended through to at least the end of December, having previously been due to finish at the end of November. It is at the 80% rate. The replacement for it, the job support scheme, has been put on the back burner, which for me is somewhat irritating, because I actually had spent 500 quid preparing hard copy guides to actually send out to everybody, and we've just had to put them straight into the bin. That said, it would not be a week in England in 2020 if we didn't have a fundamental change to tax policy. There's no gap between the announcement of this version of JRS and the continuation of the previous scheme. It's simply an extension of it, which means anybody that has made any sort of changes or movement to it can simply extend what they are doing. The government will meet, as I say, up to 80% of the employee's wages for the hours not worked. You have to pay them for the hours they do work, up to a maximum of £2,500 a month. The employer will still need to account for employers' national insurance and pension costs. Most people on this call will have nest pension schemes in place. You still will have to make the contributions for that to your employees. Flexible furlough still needs to be agreed in a written document. You must make sure that you have a written document. The written document can be an email, but it has to be an email backwards and forwards, showing that the employee has agreed to it. It can't just be unilateral. It doesn't have to be signed as such. It just has to be physically in writing. The employer will meet any costs for hours worked. Yeah, and we've already covered that one. Eligible employers. To be an eligible employer for the JRS, you must have a UK bank account and a PAYE scheme. Fairly obvious. The employer does not need to have put a JRS claim through in the past. That's actually interesting. You do not need to have put a JRS claim through in the past. So if you are suffering at this stage, it could be worth considering, particularly if your view is that the lockdown will extend beyond the 2nd of December and you are in one of those affected industries. At the moment, this will end on the 2nd of December, but again, considering everything flip-flops all the time, who on earth knows what is going to come. So it might be a protective claim you're considering if you think you are in an affected situation. Eligible employees are anyone on a PAYE scheme who has filed an RTI by 23:59 on the 30th of October. Now, an RTI is the return that must be made every month. So if one has been filed with an employee on it by the 30th of October, they are eligible. Please do check. This was a serious bone of contention for the very first version of this scheme because the announcement was made retrospectively. That actual tax return that they're referring to, or that PAYE return, doesn't actually need to be filed until the 7th of November. So it's quite possible for an employee to be in date in October with an up-to-date tax filing and actually be excluded from the scheme. That certainly happened at the very first version of this. Please do check. If we run your payroll, just check with the ladies in the payroll section, either Diane or Suzanne. If it's something you do yourself, just watch out for that. But if you haven't made that filing, the employee will be ineligible. On this note, similar, it is employment pay only, it is PAYE. So if you are a director, on director's salaries, remember it is going to be a percentage of your unworked hours of salary rate only. It's not going to cover dividends. These never have done. That is still excluded from all of the schemes. There's been loads of stuff written about that and whether it's fair or not fair. If you have used that tax planning, it is still immensely tax efficient. In the last 3 years, if you have earned £18,000 this way, you have saved £7,500 in tax. Please do bear that in mind. That is a lot of the motivation why the Treasury did not support people who paid dividends to themselves. That includes me. How to make the claim. The government will announce how to make the claim in November. There is no official guidance at this stage. We don't actually know, but I would suggest it's probably going to be pretty similar to how it has been, which is online through HMRC. You have to enter the details individually for the employees, including the calculation. Calculation for flexible furlough being an absolute pain in the backside, as anyone who has done it will attest to. It's a comparison of normal hours against worked hours, against standard hours, against standard pay. Yeah, all very complicated as it sounds. Thank God for Diane and Suzanne in my payroll section who have looked after this for us. It is not something I would particularly wish to be trying to do myself, although I did actually design the original spreadsheets. You can make a claim every 7 days. So if you've got weekly paid employees, they are covered by this. You can actually make that claim for the next month for them. And standard reporting in terms of hours necessary. Self-employed income support scheme. Next categories. For those of you that fall under this, self-employment means you are not a limited company. If you work through a limited company, this does not apply to you. You cannot be in any form of limited company. The next round of it was due to open on 14th of December. This has been moved to the 30th of November. The claiming process, the physical process, is exactly the same as it has been to date. That is, you must go onto HMRC's website. You must claim this yourself. We cannot claim it for you. To be fair to HMRC, the calculator that they have prepared for this is actually very good. It actually does do what it's supposed to do, and the claims are pretty straightforward. If you received our yellow or green letters back in June and telling you you were eligible, you are probably still eligible if your business is suffering, if you have a downturn in trade. Please be aware, this has been identified as an area by HMRC that they are going to investigate. If you have claimed this and your profits are still pretty good in next year's tax return, expect you are going to get a tax inquiry. And to everybody on this call, I would urge you to make sure in the next couple of years you have tax investigation insurance. Tax investigation insurance is available from us. It's available from other places as well. It comes with the membership of various professional bodies and various associations, so check your own situation before contacting us. Ours, even though I say so myself, is very good. It covers things right the way through for professional fees, that's us and potentially lawyers, through to the High Court. Tax investigations can be extremely expensive, not so much on our point of view, we're cheap. It tends to be the lawyers if you get to that stage, because they are usually around areas of contention, and the only way of checking that contention is to argue it in court. The last court one that I had of these ended up costing nearly £250,000 quid. Fortunately, it was all covered by tax investigation insurance. So if you haven't got it, HMRC have to get their cash back somehow, and this is probably where they are going to do it. Getting back onto the subject of SEIS, it's a 3-month grant. It will cover the period November to January and will be at 55% of average trading profits to a maximum of 5,160 quid. What that means is, if last time in the very first round of it, you got £7,500, this time you will get £5,160, which means, I'm just going to do the calculation because I am rubbish at mental arithmetic. You are going to get a grand total of 68% of what you got in the first round. So whatever that was, times it by 68%, that's what you can get in this round of it. There is a 4th round of this that is set to be at 20% of profits at the moment. Who the hell knows what it is by the time we get there. Government-backed loans are still available and have been extended. The cutoff for this was the 30th of November. They've now been extended to the 31st of January. I am a huge fan of these for small businesses, particularly if you're in a small limited company. You have not been able to access finance for business as easily as this, assuming you're an established business. This isn't for startups. Startups still can't get money. You've not been able to establish finance for business like this since 2006 or 7. Back in those days, you could get 50 grand on a phone call. You sure as hell can't now. This is the closest you're going to get. It's 25% of turnover to a maximum of 50 grand for a bounce back loan, or 25% of turnover to if you want to go for a C-bills, up to £250,000 on a C-bills. That's a coronavirus business interruption loan. You do not have to give a personal guarantee over 250,000. You do. Go to your bank in the first instance for these if you haven't already got one. If you've got the maximum from the bank that they will give you and you still had capacity, that is, you are able to top it up to the full extent of it, and the bank's not interested, your next port of call is probably Funding Circle. Be worth having a chat with them. They tend to be a bit more expensive than the standard rates. The next port of call after that is I can introduce you to our suggested finance broker, totally independent from us. We don't get anything. A chap called Steve Monroe, who has been getting great success for clients. Let me know. Drop me an email at inquiries@uk-ccm.com. That's inquiries at uk-ccm.com. And I will give you Steve's contact details and you can take it from there. If you are thinking of expanding or growing in any way and you are doing okay, this is definitely the way to finance that expansion or growth. If you're surviving, I would still suggest looking at these. Just please don't just spend it on yourself. That can create lots of problems. Don't fall for the wheeze that's doing the rounds on the internet. These have no guarantees, therefore I'll get it, spend it myself, and then put the company into liquidation. Yeah, wonderful, except you're probably going to end up with a court case for director misfeasance. We have lots of contacts with insolvency practitioners, and they are looking for that. They'll be your friend up front, and then they will try and claim against you personally for the debt. If your company is genuinely knackered and you genuinely can't continue, do talk to me or Andy or Mo or Mandy or Matt or any of the senior team, and we will put you in touch with someone who is our suggested insolvency practitioner. He's also called Steve. He will look after you as best he can, and he will make sure that he will guide you away from ending up with a claim for director misfeasance. Moving on, mortgage payment holidays are still acceptable. They're being extended. You can have a mortgage payment holiday for a maximum of 6 months. Excuse me a moment. They're being said they won't affect credit ratings. Yeah, I'm already hearing they are, but officially they're not. If you have had one already for, say, 2 or 3 months and you wish to extend it, again, you can. If you're at 6 months already and are struggling to pay mortgages, you need to contact your lender. Lenders are being told by the FCA that they have to be understanding lenders and all that. Yeah, well, we'll see. But do contact the lender. Again, if you're really, really struggling and not getting anywhere, let us know. If it's a case of insolvency, again, we can put you in touch with appropriate people. if you're in that situation where you've got no money at all coming in and you're really struggling, it's probably worth looking at universal credit. The criteria for claiming UC has been relaxed again until the 31st of January 2021. It was due to harden because it was practically impossible to get under the old rules. But if it softens, which is they've said it will do, or they have put those rules in place to make it soften, it's worth going to entitled to, that's all one word, and it's TO, entitled TO. .co.uk, entitled2.co.uk, running your situation through there and seeing if you can get UC. We're not allowed advice on UC. We don't have a license to do so, so we can't directly suggest anything. If you want my guide to UC that I wrote in about June, July, happy to forward it on a link or an email to you. Just contact me at inquiries@uk-ccm.com. English business grants. Not sure who this is and isn't going to apply to on the call, so we'll talk it through. Unlike the rateable value grant that applied to any small business that paid rates the first time around, this is any small business that pays rates that has been mandated to close by the government. Notice the mandated to close by the government. So restaurants or non-essential shops pretty much come to my mind. Almost everything else is allowed to trade. You might have to socially distance and you might not let people in and all that kind of stuff. But for example, accountants are allowed to trade provided we don't have in-person meetings with people. Our offices will remain open. We do have pick-up and drop-off and collection service. And also if you're passing, clearly you can put stuff in reception, we can come and get it. But if you are mandated to close and your rateable value is under £15,000 or £15,000 and under, you can get a grant of £1,334 per month, or 667 every 2 weeks. Forgive me again. For properties with rateable values between £15,000 and £51,000, that's a grant of £2,000 per month, or £1,000 every 2 weeks. And properties of rateable value of £50,000 and £1 or more, which have been mandated to close, it's a grant of £3,000 per month, or £1,500 every 2 weeks. So as I say, I think you're looking really restaurants, pubs, non-essential shops, gyms. If you are in most businesses, almost anything else, you can stay open. If you choose to close, the government consider that to be hard luck. Your clients may not want you open, and you may not open for that reason. But again, as far as the government is concerned, hard luck. If you believe that you are going to qualify for this, or if you think you're in a group that's a bit, we're not sure, go to your local authority website, type into that English business grants, follow the links and make a protective claim. Stick the claim in and see what they say. Exactly as you did for the rateable grant earlier the year. We can't do that for you again. It has to be the individual making the application or the company making the application. They will want verification of ID. In doing so, you'll have to upload bank statements and that kind of stuff again, as you did earlier in the year. Good luck. Let us know how you get on. Please do share the info. I think we're coming towards the end of this part of it. Oh yes, events of the last few weeks. Yeah, it's terrible, crap times right now. It is horrible. But as my martial arts club has as a badge and on our club t-shirt, Nana Karobi Ya Oki, fall down 7 times, get up 8. I would urge you. Yes, it's crap, but this is survival. Do what you've got to do. Pivot, adapt. I'm happy to tell the story of the 2 restaurants we've got, where one of them the first time round turned into a takeaway, doing wine flight, a full 7-course taster menu with a wine flight. And he's making more money now doing that than he did as a full-time restaurant. And the other guy, who was a high-end fine dining restaurant as well, practically went bust. And I think he's about to. So find a way, pivot. If you want to talk through, Andy, myself, Mo, all happy to have a chat. We will share the wisdom of our wonderful experience, etc., with you. Happy to give it some thought. Sometimes just talking to a third party, an external person who's not immediately connected, can be useful. It's good to spin ideas off of it and bring a fresh perspective. So remember, please, Nana Karobi Yaoki, fall down 7 times, get up 8. I suppose the other way of saying it is Rocky. World ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. But it ain't how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit, how much you can take and still keep moving forward. That's how winning is done, as they say. that's pretty much the support available. No massive shakes or changes to what was done before. If you want to contact us, there's the contact details. Hopefully you already know that if you're an existing client. I'm going to stop the screen share, see if we've got any questions, see if anybody else has got anything. I know from the one question I did have, I have already covered it, but if anything's unclear, please do let me know. And let's stop that screen share. No questions. Hold on for another minute just in case there is anything. If nobody has anything, thank you so much for participating and listening. This will be available on YouTube together with a one-page summary that can be downloaded. I really, really appreciate your time. We're doing the best we can to try and help people through. If you haven't brought in your tax return information, please do so. We are going to have a horrible January for this. They haven't extended tax return filing deadline, although they have extended the period to pay tax. You don't need to pay the tax in one go at 31st of January. You can have 12 months interest-free to do it. So I'm hoping they might extend the returns. I ate far too much pastry at lunchtime, which is why I'm suffering. I have to keep taking sips of this. So again, forgive me for that. Someone has popped up on the chat box. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate that. If that is it, I will let everybody get back to their days. Until next time, thank you very much.